This man never expected that a giant egg would fall on his head. He was especially unlucky today, because the egg landed right on top of his head, as if it had been specifically aimed at him. The egg rolled to the ground, and what appeared from the crack was an egg yolk, but a human face. The face was pressed against the shell, as if waiting for someone to sign for it. The one who brought this was Nita's brother, but Nita couldn't even be bothered to react with surprise. He turned around and went into his bedroom, then closed the door, leaving the egg in the living room. The next day, when Nita woke up, the egg with the human face was still there in the living room. It hadn't disappeared yet. Just at that moment, a girl's voice suddenly came from the egg. She asked Nita to press the button on the back of the egg. She didn't explain, only gave Nita the command. Though Nita was extremely reluctant, he lifted his foot and pressed the button with his toes, almost dismissing the switch. The moment the egg cracked open, energy surged out, spreading throughout the room. Nita was thrown back by the force. Before he could steady himself, a little girl with green hair appeared in front of him. She was completely naked, as if she had been teleported directly from another world into Nita's living room. Nita was a member of a gang, accustomed to giving orders, not taking them, but just as he was about to act, something strange happened in the place he cared about the most. Nita's priceless collection of items suddenly floated in midair, as if lifted by invisible strings. Hina just raised her hand, and the objects moved according to her will. Nita had no choice but to retract his fist, go get some clothes for Hina, and then pick up the shattered pieces of his collection. Nita felt extremely frustrated. Hina planned to stay here, and just as Nita was about to protest, the mural on his wall wobbled when she raised her hand. It wasn't a warning, it was more like a demonstration, showing that she could turn his home into ruins at any moment. At that moment, Nita finally realized that Hina could destroy him at any time, and so, Hina moved into Nita's house. In one night, Nita went from being a gang member to Hina's guardian. He was now responsible for her food, clothing, and shelter, and Nita felt like a father to her. The next day, buying personal items became Nita's new mandatory task. Nita took Hina to the mall. At first, he only grumbled under his breath, but reality forced him to obediently swipe his card. While shopping, Hina did the choosing, and Nita did the paying. They walked faster and faster, and Nita's bill kept piling up. It felt like an unavoidable plot in a game. Hina still wasn't satisfied after shopping. She also insisted on having Nita accompany her for meals. When they returned home that evening, Hina saw a segment on school on the TV, and her eyes became filled with anticipation. She wanted to go to school too. Nita was about to refuse, but Hina started threatening him. Nita didn't dare to say anything, because he knew she wasn't someone you could convince with reason. So, Nita and Hina agreed that they wouldn't use her powers recklessly, and then he would take her to school. After a moment of silence, Hina agreed. The two reached an agreement, and Nita gave her a temporary name, as if to attach an understandable label to their relationship. However, when Hina entered the school, she completely forgot the new name. When the homeroom teacher called out Hina, her mind seemed to short-circuit. She reminded the teacher that the name was Roan, but when she entered the classroom, she didn't really study. Hina slept through the first class until noon, treating the classroom like a bed. Fortunately, some of the classmates took care of her, and they were all very tolerant of Hina. That night, when Hina returned home, she wanted to use her powers, but she suddenly remembered their agreement, so she withdrew her strength. But then her body started acting strangely, like a suppressed flood was surging inside her.